I hope you can hear me. I don't speak very clearly because old age people get a rasp in the throat, and you can't hear them too well. But anyway, this is Armstead Cato and his wife Virginia Cato, and they married and have had 18 children. You do line those up for me to get if I had said something about this. Put that on the other side. This is the beginning of the Cato family as I knew it. This is my grandmother and grandfather, and they had 18 children. Uncle Harry Cato, many of you know,
I'll hold this for
he's
you.
not, thank you, coming to help.
Yeah, but you got to talk to both sides too. They're over there too. So.
Okay. And I don't see too well. They had 18 children. And they, as I started to try to tell you about them, Harry Cato, he's not in the picture, this picture, and neither the oldest daughter, Letty Cato, but all of, and the youngest children are not here.
Now, where's Aunt Lucille?
Huh?
Where's Aunt Lucille?
This is like Aunt Lucille Cato.
That's my grandmother.
Yeah.
Grandmother.
This is Lucille right here.
As a child.
And
Cousin Ola,
Mom,
I have a
Mom.
question for you. Were they pretty wealthy? Were they pretty wealthy for that time?
Were they well-to-do?
Were they pretty well
were they
off?
well-to-do?
I mean, he's wearing a suit. They don't look very poor.
What is it?
He's asking, did they have money, or were they well-to-do?
If I must tell you then, this is, people are still in slavery at this time. No, they didn't have any money. This is during the slave era. They're just moving out of Louisiana, moving to Louisiana. Most of them were born in Louisiana. And then they moved from Louisiana to Oklahoma. They moved to Oklahoma in 1916. No,
I think 18,
no.
because you were 4, weren't you?
I was 3 years old when we
It'd be
moved.
1918.
When they
1918.
started to move into Oklahoma. Because they thought they would have a better life. You know, it's hard to talk and you can't see. This is, I'm going to name the people in this picture. I can. This is my grandmother holding her baby son, Theodore. And this is my grandfather. He's standing, yeah, holding Pearl. How many children here from Pearl know about Pearl Cato? And this is Thad, the youngest son at that time. And now these are the oldest children here. This is, start over here, I guess. That's Uncle J.B. He doesn't have any children here, I don't think. He got killed. This is my mother, and this was Aunt Hattie. This is Pearl Cato. This is my grandfather holding Pearl, and this is Uncle A.C. Cato. Does A.C. have any children here? And this is my grandmother, Virginia. This is Thitto Cato. This is Uncle William. And this is Uncle Noble. He committed suicide. And this is your Lucille Cato when she was a little girl. I know she has some children here today. And this is Aunt Hattie. Now this is the beginning of their family here, as I knew it. But there were others. And there are other pictures in some members of the family that you might want to see. But this is the Cato family. And this is the beginning of the Catos when they moved to.
Where you put that other picture?
Right here, Keith.
We moved from Mansfield, Louisiana to Vernon, Oklahoma. That's where they moved from. You must remember now, you're talking to somebody that's almost 200 years old. You're listening, and I'm doing the best that I can to remember this.
That's all we can ask.
After they moved to Oklahoma, they lived on a farm just outside of Vernon, Oklahoma. And this is my grandfather and my grandmother, Virginia Cato. Some of you might have heard of her. But these are Uncle Harry. Now, I don't have a picture of Uncle Harry, but this group that's getting together this weekend, you are descendants of Uncle Harry Cato. But he has a large family in, well, I don't know, they had, anybody here from Uncle Harry's family?
No, we're Lucille Cato.
Lucille Cato.
Yeah.
They would be all those your grandchildren of Lucille Cato. Raise your hand. I showed you her picture on the group. She was a little girl standing over here.
Yeah, she's there. Yeah, right there, holding the camera.
No,
Oh, to the left.
To the right.
this is Lucille right here. Let me name off these here. So you can say, yay, you know them. Okay. This is Lucille Noble Cato committed suicide. He did not have any children. This is William Cato. You remember him? Your Uncle William. He has children that lives in California and grandchildren. This is Thitto Cato sitting in his mother's lap. And this is Uncle A.C. Anybody here from A.C. Cato's family? No.
Lucille.
This is Arthur Cato, the head of the Cato family, and he's holding Pearl Cato. Do you know Pearl?
Yes. I knew Aunt Pearl.
You know.
Yes.
Yeah, because she lived in Tulsa a long time. This is Aunt Callie. How many knew Onesie Cato? He wasn't Onesie Brown. He wasn't a Cato. Well, this was his mother. And this is Aunt Ada Cato. And my mother's somewhere here. But these are their children. This is the beginning of the Cato family here. And if you have any questions, you ask me, because my mind is about as old as I am, you know, so
Any questions?
I do the best I can. You know who this is? That's Ashley Cato and Virginia Cato. My grandmother and grandfather. And your grandmother and grandfather. Now, all of you, if they're the grandmother and grandfather, raise your hand. I know you did it great, what have you.
Yep, there.
But you do know that. Well, now, the gentleman that I showed you, A.C. Cato, this is his family. He had 12 girls and 1 boy. And when the family was moving to Oklahoma, no sooner than they got to move to Oklahoma, the son passed away, and they never had any more children, boys after them, any more children, really. He was the only boy. And I make mistakes as I go along. This is Thelma. She's the oldest. And I'm not going to try to name all of them, but I do know all of them because I grew up with this family. We were all children along together. Not all of them, not because they're not as, but this, she and I was the same age, and the rest of them were younger. And this is an uncle that had 1 son, and it passed away. Very, very young. But this is his family. Don't you think he had a beautiful family?
Yes.
Well, I know everybody knows who this is. This is Artie M.A. Jackson. It was 2 of them. Bub, his name was Leo, we called him Bub. And it was only 2 children. And their mother and father separated when they were, well, as a matter of fact, they separated when Ida was a baby, and then my aunt Lucille moved to Oklahoma with her parents, and of course she was expecting Bub, and he didn't meet his father until he was a grown man with children when he went to Texas to see him. But that's the point. But he was born she was expecting Bub when she moved to Oklahoma. And but he was born after they moved there, and she didn't see him yet. And I should tell you that was all. But can you imagine I was 13? Our people, they worked in Tulsa, and they would come to see us and rent cars and come visit us on weekends. And when they would come down to Vernon, that's when we lived in Vernon, and they'd come down on weekends, and they'd rent cars and come to see us. And I'm standing by one of those rented cars, and at that time I was 13 years old, posing as this car. And I didn't mean for that to leave the house, but somebody brought it. Now, I think it'd do better if you have questions to ask me some
Wants to
questions.
know if you have any questions. We're gonna have to go on to our next speaker in a moment. Any questions for Olame Speaks?
Why did you move from Louisiana?
Why did you leave Louisiana? Why did you move?
Well, the reason we left Louisiana, Uncle AC, my uncle, he didn't take anything from anybody. And he didn't care how you were. He was going to tell you what he wanted you to know. So, my grandfather was up in this little town, Mansfield, and they said, if you don't do something with that boy, we're going to kill him. And so, when he told my grandfather that, he decided it was time for the family to move to Oklahoma. So they got busy, and they started moving in groups. And of course, we didn't have trains and things back then. Cars back then. They moved by wagon train, So Uncle AC was threatened to kill. He was the first one to move to Oklahoma, and they went by the wagons. Everybody moved in a wagon, and so he took his family. No, he went first. I don't know whether you ever heard of Wanza Cato, Wilfred Cato. Wanza was not a Cato; he's a Brown, but he lived with my grandfather, really. And they went to Oklahoma first. After they were there and got settled for about 3 or 4 weeks, Uncle AC had his family to come up on the train. They came on the train to Vernon, from Mansfield to Vernon, Oklahoma. And after he was settled, another group moved. And that was, I'll say this much. Uncle AC's wife had small children. She needed help. So those of you that, you know Pearl, those that know Pearl, raise your hand. Your Aunt Pearl. Well, she moved on the first train load from Mansfield to Vernon, Oklahoma. She got there, they got settled. And then next group that went was my grandmother, my oldest sister, Effie, that I showed you in the picture, and Ida, she was a baby, and they went to Oklahoma. Well, after they got there and everybody got settled, in the meantime, I should have told you, there's people working in service, getting fares to go on the train because the others went by train. And my mother and I and my sister Willie Mae and we were the last ones to go. My mother made enough money working in service for all of us to ride the train and move to Oklahoma. And so that was the first group, the last group for about a year or two. And then after we got there and got settled and started moving around, there's Uncle Harry, Uncle JB,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're gonna have to go to our next speaker.
Okay.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. Thank you so much, everybody.
Because it's quite all right.
Thank
because
you.
it's a long story.
Okay.
It's a long story. But that's the way we came to Oklahoma, in groups like that.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's quite all right.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
Okay.
You next.
I am Evelyn Vann, but first I came from Houston, Texas to California, and I met Russell in California, and I met him at a teenage canteen, and when he walked through the door, he was dragging his feet. I never knew I was going to marry. And I told my girlfriends, look at him, dragging his feet. So he came over and danced with my friend first. Then he came over and danced with me. And then he danced with me the rest of the night and took me home. So from that, we got married. And we moved to Detroit. And we have been married 68 years, and we have we have 5 children: Sandra, Russell, Eugene, Kenneth, Keith, Karen, and some of the stories that Russell told me about his family. When he was a baby, they had him in a little box, and his mother would take him out to the field and they would pick cotton, and he would be in this little box. And as he grew up to be a teenager, being at that time he was the youngest before his sister was born, Cynthia, the baby. But he was, at that time, I think he might have been the younger child. And he would always want to follow his big brothers, and they would always be going to the white part of town, and he'd stay way behind until they couldn't send him back home, and then they'd have to take him wherever they were going. So we've had a very lovely life, and God has been very good to us. So I guess I'll let you tell him his story.
Well, I'm Uncle Russell. To most of you here, and a few of you I'm called Dad. And I can only take you back in the Vann history to my granddad, but I've heard a name David in recent years that was my granddad's dad. But my granddad had, I don't know how many children, because most of them had died by the time I had born. So most of that I know will come from what my Aunt Elsie told me. I think most of you knew Aunt Elsie. If you didn't, she lived to be 108 years old. And my family was pretty close with her. And she told me that my family was slaves to Indians. And we were in the Trail of Tears. And I looked it up, and Georgia was trying to get rid of the Indians out of Georgia because they had become so rich and owned too much land, so they run them out of Georgia. And that's where the Trail of Tears come in. And this was over a time from about 1800 to 1833. So we go back a long ways, but I can't take you there. But my grandfather, well, I'll just say the ones I knew. That was Aunt Elsie, Uncle John, Aunt Vernice. I'm gonna just leave it there. And my daddy. And my daddy was McKinley Vann. And that's where most of you are sprung from. Because most of you are from my brother Mervyn. Few of you from me. But, yeah. So, my dad had 5 children that I know, you know. One died, so it was 6 children, but one died. But Mervyn was the oldest. And Cleo, I don't know whether many of you heard of or know about Cleo, but he died at a young age of about 38. And then there was Ethelyn. Everybody know Aunt Ethelyn. And she had 2 children. And then me, I had 5 children. Then there's Cynthia, she has 1 child. And out of that, I'm not going to try to name them all because I'll leave some of the names out. I'm like Ola here, she says, you get old, you forget a lot, so.
But I do remember his Aunt Elsie. I remember she lived in Tulsa with some.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Aunt Elsie.
And now, Mervyn and Cleo was not born in Tulsa. And I hear, let's see, Aunt Elsie told me they moved to Tulsa, but I don't know where. It was somewhere in Kansas because most of the Trail of Tears went into Oklahoma, but somehow the Vanns ended up in Kansas. So I asked her one day, why did my granddad move to Tulsa? She said, well, your Aunt Vernice was a little wild. And she followed the man down there, and Dad went down to get her, and I went with him. And he liked it so, he moved his whole family to Tulsa. So that's how we...
Was that Aunt Hattie?
No, that was Aunt Vernice. You think I had it Thornton?
We'll talk about that in.
Okay.
They don't want to hear that. we'll talk old times together.
Forgot where I was that quick.
I'm sorry.
Vernice, Aunt Vernice.
No,
Moving to Tulsa.
Moving
Moving to Tulsa.
moved to Tulsa. We moved to Tulsa, and I want to say Ethelyn was born in Tulsa, but I'm not sure. But I was born in Tulsa, and Cynthia was born in Tulsa.
What about Troy? Was he born in Tulsa?
I think he was born in Tulsa. And, getting late. We had, trying to figure out where I am again. Tulsa.
Uncle Russell, Dad used to talk about y'all having gasoline washing machines on the back porch.
No, I don't know whether there's gasoline or not. When I was a little boy, you know, we couldn't afford washing machines. We had to rent them. The man would bring them out for about 50 cents a half a day or something like that. And they'd get together and work that machine to death. Yes. Yes. I don't know if any questions anyone want. I'll go that way.
Anyone? Any questions for Uncle Russell?
What, do you know anything about who was the relative that did the homesteading, and when Oklahoma went from territory to statehood, and they had the foot race, and everybody could get 40 acres?
I want to say that was my grandfather. I want to say it was him, but I'm not really sure which one it was. But whoever it was, he got some land, but with the help of, I want to say it that way, I don't think, but with the help of another Negro, a white man cheated him out of it, the way I understand it.
Now, what about, who was that in Coffeeville? They had, in 1950 or so, 50-something, we went up there, 57. And Dad tried to get to where he lived, and he could only go so far in the car. And they said, Uncle John.
Uncle John, he lived in Lenny Paul, Oklahoma. But it's right on the border of Kansas. Coffeeville is right next door. But he was back in the woods, but he'd be pretty hard for me to find now, I guess. Yeah.
We went looking for him when we went up there, but we could only go so far in the car, and we had to walk, and everybody was waiting, and there was no air conditioning. We gave up on that.
Right, yeah. Because
Russell, did you know anything about the Oklahoma riots? My father told me a little bit about it. Wall Street, that Oklahoma had their own Wall Street, and
Well,
then they actually found it.
let's see, that was over before I was born.
That was 1921.
Yeah, 1921, 23, somewhere along in there. And I was born in 26. See, but I've heard a lot about it, but I can't really speak on it because, you know.
Well, we saw, didn't they have something on TV about that?
Yeah.
Because Tulsa was supposed to have been like some kind of Wall Street.
Black Wall Street.
Wall
Black
Street.
Yeah.
Wall Street, they had that.
You know, we didn't have to go downtown for anything. We had black merchants with everything. We didn't really have to go downtown for anything.
It seemed like that riot came about because the blacks was rich. They had a lot of property and money, and that's what that riot was about. This woman claimed that she had been raped just to start something.
Any other questions for Uncle Russell?
Bad.
What do you know about your dad? Dad used to talk about when your dad would go and preach.
We need to go where?
He would go and preach, and he would make some of y'all go with, not you, but Aunt Evelyn and Cleo and my dad. And he said the kids would tease him because they were witnesses.
I had to go too. Yeah, I had.
You had to go.
Huh?
I didn't know you had to go too.
Yeah, I had to go too. But most of mine was Bible class. You know, when he had Bible class for the kids in the neighborhood too. So.
I know he had a friend, his buddy, named his daughter. What's the name of the park in Ohio, Cedar Point.
Cedar Point.
And I would hear Dad talk about it. He named, people would name their kids after
Yeah.
whatever. They didn't have any laws to stop them from naming them.
Well, I didn't know that's what they named her after, but I remember Cedar
She was
Point.
named after a convention.
That was somebody's name.
Yeah, I remember Cedar Point.
I have a question for anybody. I worry a lot about spending my time in the wrong place or with the wrong people. I want to know that when I get to 101, I felt like I spent my time in the places and the people that matter. But now that you're where you are in life, what do you recommend our family does to make the most of our time with each other and with the way we live our life?
Are you speaking to me or to her?
Anybody on the panel?
I think we should go back to God. I think if we taught our kids more about the Bible, I think we'd be better off. And the young don't think you can go back, and maybe you can. But if we give our kids a good biblical foundation about the law, because if you don't have an anchor, when things get rough, the first thing you want to do is do it your way. But if you go back and look at that Bible and see what God says about it, because He only wants us to have the best. And if you read for yourself, you'll find that's the best way. That's the best way. You can go wrong, but if you got that foundation, you're going to go back to it.
Are you asking? Well, I don't know what to say. There's so much you can say nowadays. But the one thing, parents will have to live right before their children if they want them to come up and do good. You can't do just anything and expect to have the best children. Remember to teach your children to do the things that are right before their children. Always remember that. And you don't have to be worried about getting them out of jail or anything, but you got to do right too yourself. You can't live just any kind of way. And you must remember that. And teach your children to remember that. Yes, sir.
What do you think about all this new timeout and things like that people do for discipline and children?
You know, it's an inconvenience to be deaf.
My dad believed in he was serious about his belts. But nowadays, kids
But nowadays they give time
I know
out.
all kids are different.
Whipping children.
Yeah, as opposed to nowadays where they say give a kid a time out.
Well, I tell you about this whipping business. Whipping, many times, it may help, but I don't think so. One thing about your child, you just have to sit down and talk with them, reason with them. You just don't get a stick out and start beating. And they don't know why you're beating them, they just think you mean. Now, I tell you this. My husband and I separated when they were very small. I brought my two sons up by themselves. And I'm not bragging. I never had to go to school to see them about them. I never had to get them out of prison or anything like that. Because we would sit down at the dinner table and we would talk. And they would just follow my instructions. You can't abuse a child and expect them to do that. Never abuse your children. Talk with them. get them to reason.
Look like we got a question. It's not really a question. I wanted to say Aunt Evelyn, Uncle Russell, Cousin Ovid, y'all are beautiful and it's a blessing for us to be here and be exposed to y'all wisdom.
I can't hear you.
Aunt Evelyn, you're beautiful. Cousin Ovid, I just wanted to say that I was fortunate enough to see the piece that was done of you last year for your birthday. And I think Sonia sent it out to a lot of us, and I shared it with everybody I knew about my cousin Ola, who is my grandmother's first cousin, and how beautiful she was. And I showed, including my 22-year-old, because she's 22 now. I just want to say that because of you, you got a whole new generation of washing their face with cold water. So we can all like you.
The video. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey everyone, Maxine is next.